is it not the case that some liberals are so anxious to allow society to develop freely and spontaneously that they wish to remove virtually all habits, customs, all pre-existing inherited moral traditions? They want a very radical criticism of society. Now, you yourself wouldn't go along with that, I think it's fair to say.
Well, I don't know whether I wouldn't. I think it needs much more careful definition. Our basic problem is that we have three levels, I would say, of moral beliefs. We have, in the first instance, our intuitive moral feelings, which are adapted to the small person-to-person society, where we act for people whom we know and are served by people whom we know. Then we have a society governed by moral traditions, which, unlike what the modern rationalists believe, are not intellectual discoveries of men who designed them, but they're the result of a process which I now prefer to describe by the biological term of group selection. Those groups who had quite accidentally developed favorable habits, such as the tradition of private property and the family, who did succeed, but who never understood this. So we owe our present extended order of human cooperation very largely to a moral tradition which the intellectual does not approve of because it has never been intellectually designed. And it has to compete with a third level of moral beliefs, the morals which the intellectuals design in the hope that they can better satisfy man's instincts than the traditional rules do. And we live in a world where three moral traditions are in constant conflict. The innate ones, the traditional ones, and the intellectually designed ones. And ultimately, all our political conflicts of this time can be reduced as affected by a conflict between three moral traditions of a different nature, not only of different content, one being innate and spontaneous, the other traditions we have learned, and the third, imagined designs of our intellect. I think it can explain the whole of the social conflicts of the last 200 years by the conflicts of the three moral traditions.
Now, I'd like to approach the question of the future society from a different standpoint. One of the principal criticisms that one gets of a liberal individualist society is that it is selfish, that it's not an altruistic society, whereas socialism, whatever flaws it has in terms of efficiency, is a society in which we all look after the weakest, the sick, the old, and so on. Now, what role do you see for altruism in a liberal individualist society?
The altruism is an instinct we've inherited from the small society where we know for whom we work, whom we serve. When you pass from this, as I like to call it, concrete society where we are guided by what we see, to the abstract society which far transcends our range of vision, it becomes necessary that we are guided not by the knowledge of the effect of what we do, but by some abstract symbols. Now, this only symbol which tells us where we can make the best contribution is profit. And in fact, by pursuing profit, we are as altruistic as we can possibly be, because we extend our concern to people who are beyond our range of personal conception. This is a condition which makes it possible even to produce what I call an extended order, an order which is not determined by our aim, by our knowing what are the most urgent needs, but by an impersonal mechanism who, by a system of communication, puts a label on certain things which is wholly impersonal. The traditional moral, which is not altruistic, which emphasizes private property, and the instinctive moral, which is altruistic, come in constant conflict. an extended abstract society where most people serve the needs of others whom they do not know, whose existence they are not even aware, was only made possible by the abandonment of altruism and solidarity as the main guiding factors, which I admit are still the factors dominating our instincts. And what restrains our instincts in this respect is the tradition of private property and the family, the two traditional rules of morals, which are in conflict with instincts.